She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Word of Mom Radio here on the Word of Mom Media Network. I'm your host, Dori DeCarlo, and you know we are here week after week, show after show, breaking those myths that mompreneurs and businesswomen, especially those of us building our businesses from home, that we're just dabbling in between bake sales and getting our nails done. We're not. We are smart, we are savvy, and we are sharing the wisdom of women in business and in life. And I look forward to bringing today's guest into our coaching corner. Emma Lyons is an inner power coach and creator of the Trauma Matrix. She helps high-achieving women break free from the internalized narcissist, the shame voice that controls, humiliates, and exhausts them. A former human rights law graduate turned trauma-informed healer, Emma exposes the nervous system patterns behind self-doubt, burnout, and invisibility. Her work blends somatic healing, trauma decoding, and intuitive energy work to help women reclaim clarity, confidence, and self-trust, and finally stop mistaking control for safety. This is such an incredibly important message, and I am very excited to be bringing Emma in. So with all that being said, Emma, welcome to Word of Mom Radio.
Thank you so much for having me, Dori. Great to be here.
Oh, it is my absolute pleasure, and I would love for you to take us on your journey that has led you to this and why it is so important to understand what that internalized narcissist is.
Well, the inner narcissist, as I call it, is what other people call the inner critic. But what I've realized is that it ticks every single one of the boxes of a narcissist, except in this case, the call is coming from inside the house. It's grandiose, it's self-important, it's got all these fantasies of success, feels special, you have to admire it, and it's entitled, it lacks empathy, it's envious of other people. The only box that this is from the DSM, by the way, these are the traits or characteristics of narcissists. The only thing that it doesn't fulfill is that it's interpersonally exploitative. It doesn't exploit other people, but it does exploit you. It feeds on you. It's like a parasite. It's not so much an inner critic that's there to look after you. It's more like a narcissist that tries to control you and keep you in your place. Because it says, don't get up on that stage. Who are you to start that podcast? Who do you think you are? This is about control. It's not about trying to keep you safe at all. It's about keeping you small, keeping you down. And everyone is saying, take this thing to therapy and to send it love like it's a wounded child. That's not the way we deal with narcissists. We take back our power from narcissists. We stop feeding them, and it stops having so much power over us. That's how you work with narcissists. And this voice, this so-called inner critic, it's exactly the same. And when you stop feeding it, it stops having so much power. You take back your power. You stop feeding it with shame, and you stop performing for it and giving it narcissistic supply, and it loses its power over you because it's a parasite. It's like all the energy that this voice has, it extracts from you. And when you stop feeding it, that's when you take back your power.
You know, it's so interesting because when you say that inner critic, it really is that narcissist. You know, people think of narcissism as that, oh, I'm so wonderful and things like that. They don't think of the narcissist that is constantly blaming you and shaming you and putting you down to make them feel better. And
Exactly. Exactly. It's always about their comfort. And, narcissistic parents will say, you can't be a singer. And we think they're trying to protect you, but they're not. They're trying to protect themselves. And the narcissist that we internalize is the same thing. It's not trying to protect you, but everybody says that your inner critic is trying to keep you safe. But it's not trying to keep you safe. It's trying to keep itself safe and keep you small. And when you start seeing that, you start taking back your power from this thing rather than feeding it, which is what we do. When sending love to a narcissist, it just doesn't work. Taking it to therapy, it's a bad idea. And everybody's telling us to sit down and feel the shame, and and we're just feeding this this entity, if you like, this thing that's extracting from us all the time. And the reason why how I discover this is, I mean, I've lived with a lot of shame since I was a child, and I thought it was just me. I thought my family was normal. But I started to realizing how dysfunctional my family was, and that, my mom, she ticks pretty much all the boxes of the covert narcissist. And I realized that I had been the scapegoat all this time. And, it just made so much sense because from childhood, I've been suicidal. I've felt like there was something wrong with me. I was constantly full of self-attack that just didn't make any sense. I just didn't understand. I thought it was just me. But when I started realizing how dysfunctional the family system was, and I realized that I had internalized that same narcissistic voice and used it against myself, and then gone out in the world and seeing how this fractals out. You see the same pattern, scapegoat, enabler, you see it in corporations, you see it in governments, you see it in intergovernment networks. It's absolutely everywhere. We live in a narcissistic world, and this is why narcissists are everywhere. And we internalize it because it's what we're taught. It's what it's like the air that we're breathing. So of course we internalize it. And women, we've been collectively scapegoated. So we have that extra level, of scapegoat. We've been scapegoated collectively. So women, we to reclaim our power, we need to stop saying yes to shame and just stop feeding that, really take back our power. And we do that when we stop being shameable. And the cool thing is with my system, or as you can when you stop this narcissist from shaming you, you become unshameable. I mean, let me give you, and I was talking to someone on a podcast a few weeks ago, and she was talking about, her aunt when she was a child. They were out eating ice creams, and she was a bit pudgy. And this grown adult comes up to them and says, "You shouldn't be eating ice cream. It'll make you fat." These girls, you know what they did? They could have imagined they could have felt so much shame. They could have dropped their ice cream and run. Instead, they laughed and they kept eating their ice cream. And this is the power of becoming unshameable, because with this narcissistic voice that we've internalized, we only experience shame when the voice agrees. When the voice doesn't agree, we're like, we see it for what it is, a projection. We laugh in their face. We don't take it in. We don't take in the shame. So my message is really about empowering women to stop taking other people's shame projections, because once you unhook this inner narcissist, this internalized narcissist, you become unshameable. We reclaim our shameless, because shame is toxic 100% of the time, and that's not what we're being taught. Our whole culture is operates on the whole I talk about the trauma matrix. The coding of the trauma matrix is shame. Shame means without shame, we wouldn't have intergenerational trauma. Shame is the glue that keeps that trauma running. When we have an accident or something happens, the reason why humans are still traumatized 20 years later is because of shame. And when we unhook ourselves from the shame, which is totally possible because shame is a cultural implant, when we unhook ourselves from this internal narcissist, we become unshameable, we reclaim our power. And this is the start of living a limitless life, because when you're unshameable, shame is the opposite of being authentically you. When you're carrying a lot of shame, you cannot be authentic, because shame says, hide, you're not good enough. You have to put covers on, disguise yourself. And when you drop that shame, you take back your power like 5 million times. And this is what we as women really need to do. And nobody else is saying it out there. Even Brene Brown, people that talk about shame are experts that talk about shame. Pretty much all the people that talk about shame out there talk about it as if it's something that we need to just get used to. Brene Brown, for example, says, if you don't experience shame, that would make you a psychopath. And I fundamentally disagree with that. It just shows you how much shame has been normalized in our society. Shame is normalized, even in our language. You have no shame, you're shameless, you're shameful. So you need to have the right amount of shame in order to be a good person. And that's the messaging. And shame is kind of like a get out of jail free card. I've done terrible things, I've killed people, but I feel shame about it. So that means I'm still a good person. Shame is it's a terrible gauge for change. So this whole idea that shame is a good compass of behavior, it's absolutely false. It's a delusion that we've all been under as a society because the whole matrix operates through shame. We need to have shame be operating from shame in order to be manipulated by this matrix, this narcissistic world that we all live in.
It's amazing. And you think about it, it goes back to the good girl, bad girl when we're little and you've done something. And instead of a parent saying that action was not a good thing to do and everything, you're being a bad girl. You've done a bad,
Exactly.
and we set these things, we kind of set these things in motion. And
It's
then as
so
you get older,
normalized,
it's kind of crazy.
Parents do it, teachers do it, everyone does it. People on social media do it. It's everywhere. Shame is absolutely everywhere. It's the coding system for this dysfunctional world, narcissistic world that we live in. And the cool thing is we can unplug ourselves by unplugging from this shame. We don't need to wait for the world to change. We can unplug ourselves. And that's what I teach and help people to do.
What does that process actually look like, Emma? Breaking up with that inner narcissist?
Well, first of all, you've got to recognize, and this is an important thing that I hope people will get from this interview, that shame is totally useless. Shame is not a good way to change your behavior. When you shame people, like if you think of people in cults, when you make criticisms of them or say something, they feel shamed and shame puts you into survival mode. That's what shame does. It puts you into survival mode. You feel like you're being attacked. You want to fight the people who have made the criticism. Shame makes people less likely to change rather than more. So first of all, you've got to really realize that, and also realize that our whole culture is set up to promote shame as some kind of way to become a good person, and it just doesn't work. It's completely false. We narcissists, even psychopaths, they need their victims. Psychopaths, I mean, Brene Brown said that if you don't have shame, then you're a psychopath. But actually, the real problem with psychopaths is that they have no empathy. And you need empathy in order to experience shame. And guess what? When you experience shame, it shuts down the parts of our brain that are open to empathize. So it shuts down our ability to empathize. And that's the real problem. Psychopaths' problem is that they have no empathy, not that they have no shame. So, when we say to people, you have no shame, it's like we're promoting this idea that shame is, you need shame in order to be a good person. And it's absolutely false. We need empathy, and shame shuts down our ability to empathize. So you've got to realize that, first of all, and really take that in fully. And then I have an acronym. It's called BREAK, BREAK. So the first one is break the trance. Recognize that this voice, whatever it says, you're fat, you're ugly, you're got too many wrinkles, or you're too old, or whatever, you're too young, or whatever. Recognize that this isn't your voice. It's a spell, it's a pattern, it's a trance state that we're all collectively and individually under. So you want to catch it, interrupt it, and don't overthink it. Just recognize that it's a trance, and naming it starts to interrupt that loop instantly. Then you go on to R, which is refuse to engage. Because normally when the voice comes and says you're too old, we start fighting with it, we start engaging with it. This is the thing not to do with a narcissist. So we want to, like Dr. Ramani says, she talks about deep, don't defend, don't engage, don't explain, and don't personalize. So you just say, not today. And then E, expose the lie. So call out the shame-based programming, recognize that this is control, that it's not your story. And speaking that truth starts to disarm its power. And then you go on to A, which is anchored in your body, because shame, it hijacks your system like no other emotion. This is why I talk, shame is not a normal emotion. Shame is, it's often defined as that belief that I'm bad or defective. But actually, shame is the feeling that precedes that. And it's basically self-attack. It's like disgust, anger turned inwards, hatred. It's basically self-attack. It's a bunch of toxic emotions that are all attacking the self. And then the beliefs that I'm bad or something's wrong with me kind of come downstream from that. And it hijacks your body. Not even fear can compare. I don't know if you've ever had a shame attack, but it's pretty intense. So you want to anchor back in your body, come back to your body, feel your breath, plant your feet, say your name, the year, and really remind your nervous system that you're safe and that you're sovereign and that you're here. And then finally, K, kick it out. And this means like physically shaking that thing out. So, and say, this is not mine. This is not mine. And when you really, when shame starts to strike, going through this process really frees you. It means you no longer take in that shame, because shame is always a projection. We shame people because it gives us a little bit of, oh, a narcissist. It's a narcissistic tool, but we all do it. Because when I shame you, Dori, or make you feel bad or say something mean, I feel powerful suddenly. Oh, I'm so powerful. Look, I made her feel bad, and I feel like I pass on some of the shame that I'm feeling. So this is why women pull each other down, because we're carrying so much of that collective shame. And just to diffuse it, we find someone else to scapegoat, and it gives us that little moment of power in the moment. But it's an illusion. That's not how we get rid of shame. We get rid of shame by releasing it, not by passing it on to someone else. That's just continuing the trauma matrix cycle.
On that note, really think of what Emma is saying here, please. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to say thank you to our supporters, and we'll be back here in just a moment on Word of Mom Radio.
She is brave, she is bold, she is you, and we want to tell your story. Are you ready to share your journey with us on Word of Mom Radio? Go to wordofmomradio.com and register as a guest. We want to tell your story because when you win, we all win.
In 2017, Unsilenced Voices was formed to help survivors of domestic abuse and gender-based violence worldwide. The organization currently serves Sierra Leone, Rwanda, Ghana, and the USA. In 2022, Unsilenced Voices gifted over $33,000 to survivors in the USA. And in Sierra Leone, there are over 26 young girls who have been rescued from sex trafficking and domestic abuse and now going through vocational training school in order to better their lives. We need your help. Donations are critical in order for us to continue our work. We also need volunteers to help with research and development. Please visit unsilencedvoices.org for more information.
And we're back here on Word of Mom Radio. We are speaking with Emma Lyons about the Trauma Matrix, which is her company. And what you just said is so amazing, because that whole shame, blame game that goes on, part of why Word of Mom Radio began, because my power comes from empowering other women. The more I see another woman rise, we say it all the time, when you win, we all win. So coming here and sharing what we do, empowering women to realize that no, saying no is okay, because there's a shame thing going in there, and the other mothers in the mothers group. Well, you said no. Well, why? Because you're just so busy? Yes, that's right. I am too busy to do this. Here's what I will do. And like you said, we shame each other all the time. We start with our kids. We do it with our friends. We do it with ourselves most of all. Oh, shame on you for saying that. No, good for you. Good for you that you said no. Good for you that you stood up for yourself. Hooray. Get back up on that mountain. Yell out enough that other women feel strong enough to empower themselves and not feel shame when they say no. You shouldn't feel ashamed. You shouldn't feel bad when you don't take on things that you don't have time to do. It's okay to say no. It's all of those things that are built in that we're just supposed to go all the time, all the time, all the time. It's like self-care. Oh, that's so selfish. You took the time. No, self-care is so important. And so we get into that whole hamster wheel of just blame and all of the other things. And I'm sure you've heard it, because I've heard it too. How much of that shame talks you out of your dreams, talks you out of the
100%.
life you want to create for
Exactly.
yourself.
And people pleasing, like you were just alluding to, imposter syndrome, self-doubt, self-sabotage, procrastination. What are all these things? These are symptoms of shame. So where people are trying to help people with procrastination or imposter syndrome, but until you address that underlying shame, you're not making a valuable, like, long-term change. It's just going to pop up somewhere else. Shame is the root. So I'm all about dealing with that root problem, and the root problem is shame. So when we disconnect ourselves from shame, and that is a choice that you can make, and it's obviously we have to rehabituate ourselves because maybe you've been practicing shame for 20, 30, 40 years. So your system's got used to it. You've been taught that shame is good for you, that if I shame myself enough, and it's not just women, by the way, look at the hustle culture. The hustle culture is shaming. You've got to work hard, you've got to fight, you've got to prove yourself. It's shaming. You've got to prove that you're good enough. It's very, very shaming. So we're kind of hypnotized to believe that if I just shame myself enough, then I'll become better. And it doesn't work. The evidence just isn't there that there's no evidence that that's true. If we look at like the way our system, the prison system, it's very shaming. People go out and commit the crime again. Shame is the worst possible way to get people to change their behavior. If there's a child here who's annoying me and I shame him, he shuts up in the moment. So it looks very impressive. And this is why shame is so prevalent, because it looks impressive in the moment. I shame the person and they be quiet. And I might tell myself I'm doing it to help the child, but no. When you shame someone, you're always putting your comfort first. So that's the thing to remember. Shame is always a manipulation, 100% of the time. It's the manipulation tool. And it's so normalized, like you've been saying, it's absolutely everywhere in our culture, absolutely in social media, apps everywhere. So we're breathing this in and we normalize it. We shame our kids, we shame ourselves, and it does not make people change. That's the thing. It's the worst possible way to try to get someone to change. You might get them to be quiet for the next 5 minutes, but they will not change the behavior. They won't have that awareness of why. They'll just have that awareness, oh my God, I felt bad. So they'll be quiet in the moment. I'm on Substack and someone said, we have to keep shame. How dare you try to shame. We need shame for pedophiles. And I'm like, well, that hasn't worked out well. Apparently Epstein didn't get the memo. So there's this idea that's everywhere that if you just shame people enough, they'll stop their behavior. And it just does not stand up to fact. Shame does not work. So we need accountability, and shame is the exact antithesis of accountability.
Right on. That's 1,000%. It is the absolute antithesis of accountability. When you hold someone accountable for their actions, it is a different thing, because then you can actually look at what you've said or done.
Exactly.
Shaming you, it's like taking blame. When you blame somebody, now it's an argument. Take the blame. I did that once with a client. They screwed up, and they screwed up huge. And I could have thrown it in their face. And I turned around and said, you know what? I'm going to take responsibility for this. I never should have let you make that decision. I should have stopped you. They immediately took it back. No, I'm the boss. I did it. It's that dynamic of opening somebody's eyes and they trying to tell them what they've done is one thing. When they see it, then they can understand it. And that's the difference between, with shame and accountability. One of the things that I had, because I was looking into the things that you were doing, and you've said that visibility isn't a mindset issue.
No.
It's a trauma response.
Yes.
Let's unpack what that means.
Well, when people are afraid of being invisible, again, what's underneath that? It's shame. Because shame tells you to hide. Shame tells you to become a false persona so that people will like you. People pleasing 101. Women are terrible for that. We people please. And shame, I also said it's the opposite of accountability, but it's also the exact antithesis of authenticity. When you're carrying shame, you cannot show up authentically. So even if you're doing the things, even if you're forcing yourself to do the lives to show up, you will not be showing up as who you really are. You'll be showing up as a mask of yourself. And that is because of shame. So when you let go of the shame And that shame is a trauma response, because I mean, I talked about how shame is the glue that keeps the trauma going. And it's the main kind of component we're taught from a childhood to carry this shame, especially if you were scapegoated in your family. You will have borne the burden of all that intergenerational trauma that no one else wants to look at. And, shame is the reason why people become alcoholics, because when we drink, it gives us a temporary, I'm from Ireland, shame gives you a temporary relief. It puts the mute button on shame for those minutes. And then obviously there's the shame cycle and the alcoholism that, I mean, it doesn't solve the problem. It just puts the mute on it for as long as you check out. But shame is the root of so much bad. And visibility fears, it's shame. The root of fears about visibility, it's shame. If people are not showing up or you're not connecting with your people, there's probably some shame there, because for you to be visible, you have to drop that shame to be really you.
It's a great way to kind of start ending this conversation, because it is all about being authentically you. There is no one else in the world like you. And the reality is, when you let your light shine, when you go out there and do your best, you give other people permission to do the same. So as we're wrapping up, Emma, what do you want to leave our listeners with, and how may they reach out to you?
Well, you don't need shame. You can break up with shame. And if you're serious about excelling and becoming the best version, this is the best thing you can do, because it'll break up with that shame voice and you become unshameable. My program is called Reclaim Your Shameless, because shameless, normally when we call someone shameless, it's just because I'm triggered by them, or it's often somebody that's carrying a lot of shame, and they're like taking off their clothes or something. They're often acting out of repressed shame. So we want to reclaim this word, shameless. Every other word that ends in LESS means you don't have that thing. Homeless, don't have a home. But shameless, there are often people who are carrying a lot of shame. So I want to reclaim this word, reclaim your shameless, become unshameless, become shameless and become unshameable. And that is how you ignite your true power. So I have a website, it's traumamatrix.com. And I also have a free gift for people, and that is 5 signs. So if you've been listening to this and think, oh my God, yes, I relate to this. My inner voice is really shaming. And by the way, that's how you know the difference between your higher self and your so-called inner critic. Is it shaming you? If it's shaming you, that's the narcissist. So 5 signs that it's time to break up with your inner narcissist. And you can get that at tinyurl.com/notttodaynarc. Or reach out to me on social media. Everywhere I am trauma.matrix. So you can find me on Instagram and across the...
All of Emma's links are going to be live on Word of Mom Radio. Reach out. Get the Not Today narc. Get it. It's a free gift. Take a look, because breaking up with that inner critic, breaking up and letting that narcissist within you that is making you small, get rid of it. Get rid of it and be the biggest and best version you can be each day. We are all works in progress, and we're all moving forward. Each day is a new day to keep going. It's every time I hear somebody say, oh, you only live once, go for it. No, you only die once. You live every day. That's why you go for it. And that's why letting go of things that aren't serving you is the best thing that you can do for yourself. So I love what you are doing at the Trauma Matrix. And I really hope that people reach out, because again, being the best version of you gives other people permission to be their best self. So let's break up with shame and go for it. So Emma, thank you so much for taking the time to come and share your journey with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Dori.
It has been my pleasure. And for all of you tuning in, thanks so much for being here. We're going to close out with our fabulous theme song from Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers. So till next time, this is Dori DeCarlo saying go out and create a marvelous you. Bye for now.
She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is sure. She is sure. is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is you. Adds value and hope. Has proved to be brave. See, it's never too late.